Are you too old to get a tattoo, pursue a college degree, or attend a music festival? Well, that's what I'm going to get into today. And this is the third installment in this series, and I'm going to link the first two later on in the video in case you haven't seen those. Okay, as a Gen Xer, am I too old to attend a music festival? Now, we've got Big Ears and Bonnaroo in Tennessee. We've got Lollapalooza in Chicago, Coachella in California, Austin City Limits and South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. That's just to name a few of the big ones. We love our music festivals here in America. So you want to know if you're too old. Okay, first thing is, have you ever attended a music festival before? Do you know what to expect? If not, I strongly advise you to kind of go online, go on YouTube, research a little bit the particular festivals that you're interested in, find out what the vibe is, find out what happens at these festivals so you can at least be a little prepared for that. And especially if it's a multi-day event. Now, what are the big things that you're most certainly going to experience? Number one, of course, huge crowds. Number two, alcohol use, possibly drug use as well. If it's a multi-day event, there probably will be no concept of day or night or quiet hours. And number four, is the exposure to the outside and the weather that will bring. Now, music festivals can be a lot of fun if you can put up with the negatives that come with them. And when we get older, sometimes the negatives, they kind of overpower the positives. We find that the crowds, the roughing it, the all-nighters, it's just not worth it anymore. And some may feel out of place because of our age. Now, what's my personal opinion on the subject? Now, when I was younger, I attended several big music festivals, big concerts with multiple headliners and outdoor events. And I loved them. But even when I was younger, those negatives that I mentioned earlier, even then, they were a pain in the butt. The unruly crowds, the excessive drinking, they still affected my total enjoyment of the show, even when I was 30 years younger than I am now. So as I've gotten older, I've pretty much come to the conclusion that those particular negatives would probably outweigh the positives for me. But what is my verdict? As Gen Xers, are we too old to go to music festivals? Now, if this is a bucket list agenda for you, then I say do it. I mean, you can always leave early if you can't take it anymore. You're not getting any younger, and if you really, really want to do it, then go and do it. There will be people there of all ages, and you can decide beforehand that you're going for the music and the memories. So no, you are not too old to attend a music festival, as long as you know what you're getting into. Okay, second question. Is it too late to pursue a degree from a college or a university? Okay, what are the doubts that may enter your mind regarding this question? Number one, there's the fear again of feeling old or feeling out of place. Number two, you're probably asking yourself, is it worth the expensive cost? And number three, is it worth the demand on your time, which could be pretty intense? Now, the benefits of pursuing higher education as a Gen Xer could be job advancement. It could be a career change. It could be for personal growth. And depending on what your goal is, there are a lot of different ways to get there. And pursuing a degree through a university might not be the only way. There are a lot more options out there today than there was when we graduated high school. I want you to think about cost of tuition, cost of materials, the expenses that you would need to incur, and would this cause you to have to go into debt in your 50s? But I also want you to think about how much time you have to devote to this. Balancing studies with work and family, other responsibilities, it can be very demanding and totally exhausting. Now, in my opinion, pursuing a university degree, whether it's a bachelor's or something higher, is a very huge undertaking which cannot be taken lightly. Now, for me, my 50s have turned out to be a very busy and sometimes extremely stressful time in my life, mostly because of my caregiving role to my mom. So adding such a heavy workload and expense seems too risky in my situation, and it could be in yours as well. Yet on the flip side, you could find yourself in your 50s with an abundance of time that you didn't have before. So my conclusion as to whether it's too late as a Gen Xer to pursue a degree, if money or time is not an issue, then no, it is not too late. Whether it's for career advancement, personal growth, or just a lifelong dream. However, if the expense would cause you to have to get a loan in order to pay for it, and you're not positive enough that the salary increase that it would give you would enable you to pay that loan off, say, within the next 5 years, then I would say don't do it. It is too late. Now, if you've watched enough of some of my other videos, you'll know how averse I am to acquiring a lot of heavy debt in our 50s, this close to retirement. Even if we're not planning on retiring soon, we are getting older and we don't really know what the future holds. We need to be focusing the bulk of our extra money to our future, for our savings, for when we can no longer work. Now, I'm not saying that all debt is bad, but debt of this magnitude that it would probably entail if you were going to pursue a degree, that's a different story. You have to be honest with yourself. Would the job opportunities really be there? And can you compete with someone that possibly could be 25 years younger than you? So the answer is no. It is not too late to pursue higher education, even a degree at university or college, if you can afford it and it wouldn't put too much of a time burden on you currently. But there are a lot of challenges that you will need to overcome, and you have to prepare yourself for them. So don't just sweep those under the rug. You have to consider them. Okay, third question. As a Gen Xer, am I too old to get my first tattoo or get more tattoos? Now, according to a survey done in 2017, over 40% of Americans have at least one tattoo. That's a lot. So it's very possible that you've asked yourself this very question as a Gen Xer. So let's look at whether age really does matter in this case. With over 40% of the American population having at least one tattoo, there doesn't seem to be any mainstream cultural aversion to getting one, even if you are over the age of 50. It's simply one of those things, you do you. However, it is mostly a permanent commitment, so some thought and consideration does have to be put into it. Now here's a scenario where I think we are too old, and that's going to the beach with all your girlfriends and all of a sudden spontaneously deciding you're all going to get tattoos before you go home. Now that's what people half our age do. But if you've thought about it, maybe even for years, and you still want to do it, and you can afford to do it, you know the safeguards involved, then it could be the right decision for you. But, and you probably figured there was a but, we do have to consider aging and aged skin. So let's talk about that for just a moment. Now, there are just parts of our body that are more susceptible to gravity than others. Some areas have thinner and looser skin. Avoid those areas. Stick with the back, the shoulders, the abdomen. Those tend to be safer, especially with aging. Now, this even needs to be considered when you're younger, because hopefully you are going to get older one day. Now, I have a friend that got a dream catcher tattoo on a specific area of her body, and this was many decades ago. But now she jokes that it doesn't resemble a dream catcher at all. So I share that story. It sounds a little funny, but I share that because it is the truth. You have to think about that. Okay, rapid fire. Here are 5 points that you need to consider if you're considering getting your first tattoo or additional tattoos after the age of 50. 1, avoid skin that is sun damaged, where the skin is thin, loose, or saggy. Number 2, think about the pain that you incur during the process, because from what I've read, the pain is a lot more intense as you get older. Number 3, skip it if you are immunocompromised or if you're taking immunosuppressants. Number 4, consider tattoos or any other type of injury done to the lower extremities of our body. Those take a lot longer to heal, especially as we age, because circulation is compromised a little bit in our lower extremities. And number 5, take into consideration all of the other precautions that you should take even if you're younger, such as vetting the tattoo artist. Now, my personal opinion, I don't care if people want to get tattoos, if they have tattoos. I don't care either way. But for me personally, committing to one design for the rest of my life seems like way too much commitment for me. And it's just not something that I've ever wanted. Now, maybe you want one to commemorate an event or even to honor a loved one. Now, there are a lot of other ways that you can do that. You can buy special jewelry. You can plant a tree or a flower garden. You can even buy a star and name it whatever you want to. Or you can buy a memorial plaque that goes on a park bench at your favorite park. A tattoo is not the only choice. So my verdict, as a Gen Xer, am I too old to get a tattoo? Now, because this is such a personal decision, my answer is no, you're not too old. You can do whatever you want. But if some of the parameters that I mentioned don't work out for you, thoughtfully consider maybe some of the other options that I mentioned earlier. Now, am I done with these Gen X questions? Absolutely not. I've got more coming up in the future. That's why I would love for you to subscribe so you don't miss them. Just one little click, that's all it takes. I would appreciate it so much. I'm going to link the first 2 in this series, as I promised, at the end of this video. And in the next installment in this series, I'm going to tackle questions such as, are we too old to buy a motorcycle, wear a bikini, or start saving for retirement? Yep, I'm going there. So you don't want to miss that. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.